Chapter 904. At the dining table, Tang Long looked at Si Ming Li and Si Qian and said politely, "As for the mission this time, we somewhat have an understanding of the situation." "Brother Tang Long, you're talking about the mercenaries protecting that woman?" Si Qian asked. "Yes." Tang Long nodded, then took out a document, put on gold-rimmed glasses and opened the document. "It's like this. The target has 5 people guarding her in total, and they're all professionally trained. The leader is called Old Demon Jiang, and there are 4 core members, 3 males and a female: Song Chang, Tang Bin, Heidi and Jiao Jiao. Among them, Jiao Jiao is the most skilled and has killed the highest number of people. She's also very vicious and ruthless, has the blood of over 100 lives on her hands, and is very cruel." Upon hearing that, Si Ming Li and Si Qian examined Jiao Jiao's description in the document, then turned to the gentle and refined Tang Long. "Even this guy says the other party is cruel. He became an A-rank mercenary at such a young age, and his value exceeded being just the captain of the Noise of Dragons mercenary group. His reputation was great, and there was also the golden reputation of the Noise of Dragons mercenary group. One should never assume Tang Long's abilities based on his refined and well-mannered behavior at the moment. He was actually quite ruthless." However, Si Ming Li had only heard about Tang Long secondhand. He wasn't sure whether Tang Long's past achievements were just hearsay or the truth. These people belonged to the Kirin mercenary army, and while they were in that army, they accepted 7 S-rank missions and succeeded in 2 of them. So, they were only considered A-rank mercenaries. Previously, when they were transporting some goods, they actually betrayed the employer. It could be said that they are notoriously vicious and diabolical. This mission is really not an easy task. Then, Si Ming Li was somewhat doubtful and wasn't sure what Tang Long wanted to say. "Mr. Si, I need an increase of 30% in my pay. If Mr. Si is agreeable, I will carry out this mission this very instant. But if Mr. Si is not agreeable, we'll just treat it like we've made some acquaintances today." Tang Long closed the document and smiled. Upon hearing what Tang Long said, Si Ming Li frowned. They had already agreed on the fee earlier, yet this Tang Long didn't care about the rules at all and actually asked for a raise. "Sure, Brother Tang Long, you're straightforward indeed. All right, as long as you complete the mission, I'll increase your pay by 30%. Although Si Ming Li wasn't very pleased about this, he didn't have a choice. "Good, since Mr. Si is agreeable, please sign this contract." Tang Long immediately took out a contract. Looking at the contract that was already prepared for him, the corners of Si Ming Li's lips twitched. "Seems like Tang Long already had me wrapped around his fingers. He even prepared the contract beforehand." Si Ming Li's face darkened slightly, then he stood up and signed the contract. "Mr. Si, really sorry about that. I emphasize great importance in having a contract. After all, verbal confirmation is not as dependable compared to a signed contract." Tang Long tucked away the contract and chuckled gently. A contract like this obviously didn't have any legal significance, but the mercenary trade union agreed that if either party with a signed contract failed to perform his or her contractual duties, the mercenary trade union would come forward to resolve it. "Farewell." At that moment, Tang Long straightened his top and stood up to leave with his men. "Brother Tang Long, I want her alive." Si Ming Li reminded him. "All right, Mr. Si, I understand." Tang Long led the way. He didn't even turn around and immediately left the restaurant. Little House of Rose. Master, I invented a new dish today. Try this phoenix tail fire prawn. I'm not bragging, but ordinary people would never get to eat this." The fatty held up a pot of red, juicy prawns and walked over to Yuan. Then he removed his apron and placed the prawns on the dining table. Chapter 905. 905. Yuan looked at the pan-fried prawns right in front of her and rubbed her rumbling tummy. Her eyes were filled with desire. However, her head told her she couldn't continue eating like this. These past 2 days, she had eaten till she almost burst. Yuan leaned in closer to the juicy prawns which looked and smelled so good. She took a little whiff. "They smell heavenly. Jiao Jiao, come over and eat." Yuan stared at the little Lolita who was obsessed with her drama series and called out to her reluctantly. "Master, I'm not eating that, I'll get fat. Jiao Jiao looked pitifully at Yuanwan. At that moment, the old housekeeper walked inside and said, Master, I saw a child today and he was pacing in our yard. I'm not sure where he came from. A child? Probably from a family living nearby. Yuanwan didn't really mind. Before the old housekeeper could speak, 2 bangs resounded outside. They're gunshots. The old housekeeper immediately looked out the door. Little Lolita and Fatty stood up instantly and returned to their own rooms. A moment later, they returned to the hall. What's going on? The long-haired man and bearded man rushed to the hall when they heard the gunshots. I'm afraid they're here for us, little Lolita said. Probably the same group of people. Song Chong, Tang Bin, both of you protect Master while the 3 of us go out and take a look. The old housekeeper ordered. Okay. The bearded man nodded. Don't worry, with me guarding her here, I'll blast their brains out if he or she dares to come near. Chung, you're amazing, you're so cool. The long-haired man looked at the bearded man and his eyes were filled with admiration. That goes without saying. Look at what kind of man Chong is, the bearded man sneered. While they were speaking, the fatty, old ghost Jiang and little Lolita charged outside instantly. Almost a second later, there were sounds of fighting coming from outside followed by the sound of a chase. Phew, what a bunch of morons. They actually came all the way here to court death, the bearded man said. With Changji around, those people are simply asking for it, the long-haired man said with adoration. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Those mercenaries who showed up before were obviously targeting her and didn't have much to do with little Lolita, old ghost Jiang, and the others. Initially, Yi Wanwan wanted to tell Si Han about that incident, but Si Han was still overseas at the moment and she was afraid he would return immediately after finding out about it. She didn't want to interfere with his business, so she didn't end up telling him. May I know if anyone is home? Suddenly, there was a light knock on the door and a young man's voice. Master, the bearded man looked at Yi Wanwan. Go open the door. Yi Wanwan pondered for a moment before she answered. All right. The bearded man walked over immediately and opened the door. A couple of men dressed in black were standing there and the man leading them was about 27 or 28 years old, yet his hair was grayed and he was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He looked gentle and refined. You guys stay outside, Tang Long said to the mercenaries with him. Then he entered the hall by himself. Who are you? The long-haired man asked after seeing that Tang Long entered the hall unaccompanied. He was on guard. Upon hearing that, Tang Long revealed a harmless smile and said gently, Hello, everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tang Long, the captain of Noise of Dragons Mercenary Group. Chapter 906, Noise of Dragons Mercenary Group. Tang Long. Upon hearing Tang Long's self-introduction, the bearded man and long-haired man were stunned. The Noise of Dragons Mercenary Group wasn't scary, but the captain of this group, Tang Long, was. The long-haired man and bearded man weren't dumb. They already knew what was going to happen the moment Tang Long appeared. I'll kill you. In a split second, the bearded man stretched his arm towards Tang Long. As long as he subdued Tang Long, nothing would happen. However, before the bearded man could get any closer, Tang Long leaned to the side slightly and lifted his right leg. Swish! In the hall, a sound broke the silence. All they saw was Tang Long with 2 hands in his pockets while his right leg swept outwards. His body moved in a flash and his movements were swift. The bearded man didn't even know what happened and he was in disbelief as he was sent flying across the hall by an unbelievably strong force. How dare you hit my Changji? Watching the situation, the long-haired man bellowed and raised his palm, about to attack Tang Long. Sorry, I don't like to be rough, so I suggest you better stop. Tang Long had his arms behind his back and he stood in the same spot as his body moved slightly. The long-haired man attacked him over 10 times, but Tang Long managed to dodge every single one of them easily. He didn't even manage to touch a strand of hair on Tang Long's head. You're courting death. The long-haired man was furious. This Tang Long is trying to embarrass me, huh? Seeing as the long-haired man was becoming more aggressive, Tang Long sighed softly. After that, he performed a move they had never seen before. His right elbow knocked harshly against the long-haired man's face. In the next second, the exact same thing happened to the long-haired man. He flew across and landed far away. You're dead meat? Tang Long, you can't be here, you've offended the master. While the bearded man was still jabbering on, Tang Long waved him off with annoyance and got his men to drag them out. Sorry, I've dirted your room. Tang Long wiped the bloodstains on his hand, then bowed at Yi Wanwan as an apology. Who sent you guys? Yi Wanwan looked at Tang Long and asked coldly. Miss Yi, this is a secret mission. According to our code of conduct, we need to keep the identity of our employer confidential. So, we are unable to tell Miss Yi. I hope Miss Yi doesn't mind, Tang Long said in a well-mannered way. How much did your employer pay you? I'll double it if you get rid of him for me, Yi Wanwan said. This person's movements were so quick that even Yi Wanwan couldn't see them clearly. He must have been an expert among experts. Yi Wanwan knew the extent of her abilities and knew there was no way she could be a match for this Tang Long. However, mercenaries only accepted assignments for money and she could offer much more. Miss Yi, that's really very tempting. However, that does violate the rules of our profession. Tang Long laughed. I'll triple it, Yi Wanwan said. Miss Yi, very sorry but this isn't about the money. Tang Long shook his head. 4 times more. Yi Wanwan put out 4 fingers. Unfortunately, I've already signed a contract. Otherwise, I might really make a deal with Miss Yi, Tang Long said helplessly. If he was a turncoat, the mercenary trade union would never tolerate it. 5 times, this is the highest I'll go, Yi Wanwan offered. Since that's the case, if Miss Yi survives this round, I would be more than willing to work with you in the future. But this time, I can't do anything about it, Tang Long said. Chapter 907. 907. Yi Wanwan knew in her heart that Tang Long, as a mercenary, wasn't picking on her personally. He accepted a mission from someone and signed a contract with the mercenary trade union, so Tang Long couldn't agree even if she offered him a payment that was 5 or even 10 times more. Is there really no other way? Yi Wanwan looked at Tang Long as she asked. Upon hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Tang Long shook his head and said softly, Miss Yi, I'm really sorry about that. I am a mercenary and can only act according to my employer's wishes. However, Miss Yi, you don't have to worry about a thing. Master wants you alive, so I won't do anything to you. What happened to those 3 friends of mine? Yi Wanwan asked. She couldn't help but worry about Jiao Jiao and old Zhang's safety. With just one look, she knew Tang Long wasn't a simple person. Miss Yi, those 3 mercenaries have already been taken away by my men. Miss Yi, don't count on them to come back and rescue you. Even if they did, we would just have to recapture a few more people. Tang Long laughed. Upon hearing what Tang Long said, Yi Wanwan lost hope. She didn't want little Lolita, old ghost Jiang and the others to be in trouble for her sake. Could you release those 2 people? Yi Wanwan tried to negotiate. Tang Long shook his head. Miss Yi, sorry about that. I can't do that. At that moment, Yi Wanwan looked at her phone subconsciously. It was ringing and the ringtone was somewhat different. She realized it was the ringtone she specifically set for Nameless Nye, Spray of Flowers and the others. If she could take this call and tell them about the situation? When it came down to it, whether it was the brick-moving lover or the fortune-teller, any one of them could make Tang Long leave. Unfortunately, Yi Wanwan didn't have any chances of taking the call. Miss Yi, you can decide whether you want to leave with me or make me force you, of course. I hope Miss Yi will cooperate. I don't like to get my hands dirty either. Tang Long smiled at Yi Wanwan. After she heard that, Yi Wanwan replied, Sure, I'll leave with you today. Just looking at how Song Chong and Tang Bin were defeated almost immediately, it wasn't hard to figure out that Tang Long was a super expert. They both used all their strength to fight him alone, yet they didn't even have a chance to retaliate. Furthermore, from what Yi Wanwan saw, Tang Long wasn't serious at all when he was fighting with the 2 of them, so his true abilities were probably at least 10 times better than the previous mercenaries. Alright, thank you for cooperating, Miss Yi. Tang Long thanked Yi Wanwan, bowed slightly and stretched his arms out, showing her the way. Yi Wanwan walked out the door under Tang Long's supervision. Outside the hall, Tang Bin and Song Chong were already captured and in the car. Yi Wanwan got into another car under Tang Long's watchful eye. However, just as Tang Long and the others were about to leave, one of the mercenaries suddenly noticed a little boy in the yard from the corners of his eyes. The child was about 4 to 5 years old. He looked very alluring, and although he had a baby face, the child's gaze gave off an iciness that was way beyond his age. This child, who are you guys? The mercenary was doubtful when the boy looked at him coldly and was the first one to speak. Chapter 908. Seeing that the mercenary was silent, the little boy's gaze swept over the tattoo of a symbol on the side of his neck and he mumbled to himself, "Noise of Dragons Mercenary Group." When the mercenary heard that, he was taken aback. How could a 4 or 5-year-old recognize Noise of Dragons Mercenary Group symbol? I must have heard this little boy wrong. According to their investigation, there were no children in the house, so how did this child coincidentally appear there? Whatever it was better to be safe than sorry. They should probably take him with them first. The mercenary immediately grabbed the little boy and threw him into the car. He wasn't sure if the little boy was frightened or traumatized, but the boy didn't make a sound and simply allowed the mercenary to put him in the car. At a spot hidden away, 2 figures suddenly got up and were about to take action. However, they were forced to retreat when they saw the little boy's eyes and went back into hiding once again. "Captain, I just saw a little boy. He appeared at the garden out of nowhere." At first, the mercenary wanted to ask Tang Long for instructions, but he had already entered the frontmost car, and while he was asking, Tang Long sped off, making him swallow a mouthful of dust. At the moment, Yi Wanwan was stunned as she looked at the boy who was suddenly thrown into the car. Weren't these people here to capture me? Why did they capture a child as well? I've never heard of mercenaries in the kidnapping and extortion business. Furthermore, Tang Long doesn't look like the sort who likes doing this kind of business. Then, what's with this little boy? Yi Wanwan was deep in thought. Very quickly, all her attention was on this little guy. The little boy was wearing a stunning sapphire blue little suit with a pink bow tie. His posture was upright and he had a pair of unbelievably beautiful phoenix eyes. The outer corners of his eyes were slightly inclined and they carried a tinge of arrogance and loftiness. Coupled with a sharp nose and thin lips, he was simply alluring and adorable. Whether it was his temperament or attitude, this child was different from ordinary children. He had a noble air around him that only a well-off family could foster. Damn, this little boy will destroy the country and cause suffering when he grows up for sure. What sort of heaven-defying combination of genes produced a little child like him, huh? Wait a minute. Yi Wanwan looked at the boy a bit longer and was suddenly stunned. Aside from his eye-catching clothes today, this child seemed really familiar, like she had seen him somewhere before. But what made Yi Wanwan surprised was how calm and composed he was after being thrown into the car. While Yi Wanwan sized the child up, the little guy was also looking at her. Yi Wanwan obviously noticed the little child's gaze on her. Cough. Which family do you belong to? Why did you get captured too? The little boy's eyes lit up slightly. You don't know me? Yi Wanwan blinked. Do we know each other? But the more I look at him, the more it seems like I really do know him. The little boy looked at her and his gaze turned slightly colder. Which family do you think I belong to? This question is really strange, isn't it? Yi Wanwan was totally confused. But too cute. He's even cuter with this icy look. My claws. Why do they feel like they're losing control? Hang in there. Seeing as Yi Wanwan was silent, the little boy's eyes turned gloomy. After some time, Yi Wanwan finally calmed down. She rubbed her chin, looked at the adorable little boy and smiled. Oh, although I don't know whose family you belong to, I really wish you belonged to mine. Chapter 909. What Yi Wanwan said was heartfelt. It was pretty weird. This little boy, who was sitting about 4 to 5 feet away from her, gave her a feeling of familiarity. After hearing her answer, the little boy was taken aback. After some time, he pursed his thin lips. Is that so? Yi Wanwan sighed. But too bad, little boy, too bad what? Yi Wanwan continued. Too bad, how could I possibly have such an adorable kid? Who are your parents exactly? They're really great at making kids, huh? Little boy, that might not be the case. Yi Wanwan was talking to the little boy when one of the mercenaries in front suddenly yelled at the man in the passenger seat. What the hell are you doing? Why did you bring a kid on board? The mercenary who captured the child replied, this kid showed up at the garden all of a sudden. It was a little weird, but I thought he might be somehow related to this woman. To prevent any issues from arising, we can just take him with us first. The mercenary who shouted furrowed his brows but didn't argue in the end. While they were talking, the car was slowly moving towards the suburbs. After about half an hour, the car stopped and Yi Wanwan and the little boy were brought into a dungeon. The little boy and Yi Wanwan were locked up together. Tang Bin and Song Chong were also tied up to a metal pillar by the side. Yi Wanwan scanned the dungeon and it was quite similar to the Sea families. It was used for torture and interrogation. Where's the captain? One of the mercenaries asked. Captain left to meet with the employer and collect our payment. This mission is close to completion, so why would Captain stay here? Someone replied. At the moment, the long-haired man and bearded man looked at Yi Wanwan, who was locked up. They both looked at one another as a tinge of suspicion appeared in their eyes. How could that be? The bearded man frowned. Their master was the Rose of Death, right? How could the Rose of Death be captured? Initially, they thought Tang Long was in deep trouble. Their master would be fuming mad for sure and she would rescue them. However, even their master herself was captured now. Could it be that this woman wasn't the Rose of Death at all? Weren't they doomed then? And they thought they found themselves an amazing backer. Had they been cheated? What exactly was going on here? How exactly are we going to deal with this child? A mercenary looked at the little boy locked up in the cell and was at his wit's end. After some time, the mercenary gave Tang Long a call to ask for instructions. At first, Tang Long wanted to let the little devil go, but Si Mingli refused. If the boy was at the garden of the little house, he must be related to Yi Wanwan somehow. Both parties started a video call as per Si Mingli's request. Seeing as Yi Wanwan was locked up in the cell, Si Mingli smiled coldly. This woman was finally in his hands. Si Mingli? Yi Wanwan looked at the video call and a cold light flashed in her eyes. When those C-rank mercenaries showed up before, she did guess Si Mingli was involved, but this time, how did Si Mingli manage to hire these people with these abilities? Could it be that there was something she didn't know in her previous life, the identity of Si Mingli's backer? She didn't expect to gain such an important piece of information this time. Yi Wanwan, Miss Yi, our future mistress of the Sea household. We meet again, Si Mingli said mockingly. Fourth uncle, I hope all has been fine since we last met. Yi Wanwan smiled faintly. Chapter 9-10. Upon seeing how Yi Wanwan was so indifferent, Si Mingli scoffed. This woman is still laughing at this point, huh? Fourth uncle, you put so much effort and thought into capturing me. This is the third time you sent out mercenaries to look for me, right? Yi Wanwan said. Before, it was the C-rank mercenaries. She didn't even have to think to know it was Si Mingli's doing. And the first time, she was only able to escape thanks to help from that white-haired man. The third time, when he heard what Yi Wanwan said, Si Mingli was stunned. Including the C-rank mercenaries he hired last time, that was only twice. When was the third time? I'm afraid I've only tried to capture you twice. You probably offended someone else and had another encounter. That wasn't my doing. Si Mingli sneered. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. As expected, what she said just now was merely to test Si Mingli. Since she was already in his hands, he had no reason to lie. Her guess was right. When she was saved by the white-haired man before, Si Mingli definitely wasn't involved. Now that she eliminated one suspect, who could the mastermind be? Oh right, how are we going to deal with this child who appeared near the little house of Rose? Just kill the child, Si Mingli replied without hesitation. Kill him? Upon hearing that, the few mercenaries were stunned. They had never killed a child before and the boy was merely 4 to 5 years old. At that moment, Si Chen strode over slowly to the camera and looked at the little boy in the cell. He laughed. Everyone knows we can't have such incidents leaking out. It's best if we just deal with it once and for all. If anything goes wrong and the mission fails, None of you will get a single cent. All right then. The mercenaries nodded, took out a dagger on the spot and unlocked the cell. Stop. Your target is me. It has nothing to do with this kid and I don't know him at all. You guys can confirm this fact yourselves. Yi Wanwan's eyes turned dark immediately as she secretly tried to escape from the rope around her wrists. She only just found out from what those people said that they hadn't captured this child intentionally. It was only because he was in the vicinity that they took him. However, before that child could protest, he was already captured. The little boy's face was expressionless as he looked plainly at Si Qian in the video call and said, "Reckless and blind." When Si Qian heard those 3 words, he was taken aback. "Little guy, what did you say?" "All my life, this is the very first time I've met someone declaring so brazenly that he wants to kill me," the little boy said, making sure every word was heard. When they heard that, Tang Bin and Song Chong, who were both wondering whether their backer was about to collapse, had strange looks on their faces. Did this kid watch too many shows? Does he think this is a game? Si Qian laughed and shook his head. This was his first time meeting such an interesting kid. "Do it," Si Qian ordered. He couldn't be bothered to continue talking nonsense with this kid. However, at the moment, a strange, icy smirk appeared on the little boy's face. "Before you guys do anything, my last name is Nye." Nye. Having heard what the little boy said, everyone was puzzled. What does he mean by that? Yi Wanwan, who was secretly trying to break free from the rope, showed a subtle change in her expression. Chapter 9:11. 911. The mercenaries looked at one another, confused. So what if his surname is Nye? Do you guys have any humanity? How could you kill a child? You guys have no conscience, huh? The long-haired man shouted coldly at the mercenaries. At the moment, although the few mercenaries didn't reply, they felt quite conflicted that they had to lay hands on a 4 to 5-year-old, whether it was part of their mission or not. Then one of the mercenaries turned to Si Ming Li in the video and said, "Mr. Si, let us speak to our captain first." "What did you say?" Si Ming Li was furious. He was the one who issued the mission, so he had the authority to get these mercenaries to act according to his wishes. "I think we should seek Captain Tang Long's advice," the mercenary repeated. "Tang Long just left to answer a call. He isn't back yet?" Si Ming Li was irritated. "Then, we'll wait till Captain Tang Long comes back." The mercenaries tried to contact Tang Long, but his line was busy. "Forget it, father. They've completed their task. We'll just get our own people to settle this," said Si Qian, who was next to Si Ming Li. When he heard that, Si Ming Li pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement in the end. Anyway, Yi Wanwan was already in his hands. He could do whatever he wanted and wouldn't need these mercenaries to interfere. Si Ming Li immediately made a phone call and within a split second, Si Ming Li's confidant brought a couple of men in black shirts and rushed into the dungeon. Seeing this, the mercenaries didn't have much to say. Their mission was to capture the target and bring her back and to kill if she resisted. They had now already brought her back, so from a certain perspective, the mission was completed. The confidant looked at Si Ming Li in the video call and said, "Master, please advise. Kill the others aside from Yi Wanwan." The person speaking was Si Qian. "Even the child?" The confidant looked at the little devil not far off. "Every single one except for Yi Wanwan," Si Ming Li said. "Noted. Don't worry about it, master." The corners of the confidant's lips curled upwards. His gaze swept past everyone and a sinister smile appeared on his face. "Just a few of you nobodies, try touching us if you dare." The bearded man scoffed. The long-haired man chimed in, "Master will never let you guys off if you touch us." "Haha, I think all of you are asking for it." Si Ming Li's confidant laughed. "Master? Are you referring to this woman, huh?" The bearded man and long-haired man were enraged when they heard that because they still didn't understand what their master was thinking at this point. Could it be that the Rose of Death's capabilities were limited? It took so long for them to finally find a backer. Let me tell you the truth. The security in this place is 3 times that of the Si family's dark chambers. Even a fly can forget about leaving, so there's no hurry, let's take it slow. It'll be your turn very soon. You guys should treasure this time and think about your last words. After speaking, the confidant arrogantly turned to his men. Do it. Deal with this little one first. I'll fuck your father. Seeing that these psychopaths wouldn't even let a little child go, the bearded man bellowed in anger and a hint of fear appeared in both their eyes. After they dealt with this child, it would be their turn. Was it really the end of the road for them both? Not only was the security extremely tight there, but the mercenaries present were also top experts and it would be difficult to escape even if they had wings. Right at that exact moment, Tang Long with the gold-rimmed glasses was back. Chapter 912. 912 Si Ming Li looked at Tang Long, slightly upset. Tang Long, you came at the right time. I merely wanted to capture one person, yet you guys complicated the issue and allowed a child to witness what was going on. I wanted them to kill him to silence him, but they didn't listen to my orders. Since this is the case, I can only do it myself. I think the professionalism of your Noise of Dragons mercenary group is lacking. This child. Tang Long suddenly spoke up and immediately walked over to the camera. When he saw the little boy's face, Tang Long's eyes constricted instantly. Wait, this child? I saw him in Europe before. The Nye family's crown prince. How is this possible? Why would the little crown prince of the Nye family show up at this woman's house? But this doesn't matter at all right now. Let him go. Tang Long spoke without the slightest hesitation. Si Ming Li furrowed his brows. What did you say? Tang Long, I said let this child go. Si Ming Li was enraged. Tang Long, have you lost your mind? Si Qian was also very upset with Tang Long's tone. I think you guys are the crazy ones. Do you have any idea who this child is? A tinge of darkness appeared on Tang Long's elegant face. He was so irritated that he removed his glasses and pinched the bridge of his nose. He's just a little bastard, and judging by the way he dresses, his family probably has some money and power, that's all. A hint of disdain appeared in Tang Long's eyes as he emphasized every word he said. This child's surname is Nye. So what if his surname is Nye? This kid already said it himself just now, there are only a few families with the surname Nye. Even if they found out I killed this kid, who would dare to say no? Si Ming Li said loftily. This child already said his surname is Nye. It's him indeed, I didn't mistake him for someone else. Tang Long was certain he hadn't gotten the wrong person. He chuckled and looked at Si Ming Li and Si Qian like he was looking at a dead person. TSK, the Nye family from Imperial City? Who told you that it was the Nye family from Imperial City? At the same time, the ferocious-looking thug made his way towards the little boy. Yi Wanwan's gaze became frostier. Looking at the little boy who was about to be killed, she suddenly had a sharp pain in her head. The little boy silently stood in the same spot. He was indifferent and spoke with a slightly condescending tone that had a tinge of pity. Looks like you guys still don't understand the meaning of the Nye clan. What dog shit Nye clan? Little bastard. Even if your family has great power and influence, you still have to die here today. The hired thug spoke and his wide palms brought a horrifying deadly force as he grabbed the child forcefully. In the next second, bang! The image of the video call shook violently. The hired thug, who was about to murder the little boy, flew across the room like a kite with a broken string, although he was about 1.9 meters tall and muscular. What happened? Si Ming Li and Si Qian froze. Their faces nearly touched the camera lens. All they saw was that the entire door behind the cell was knocked down from the outside and two lean men in black shirts appeared before everyone. The two men directly walked towards the little boy, then lowered their heads respectfully. Young master. Young master? Si Ming Li's confidant, the hired thug, and Si Ming Li and Si Qian, who were on the video call, were all completely stunned. Nobody expected that someone would be able to barge in like that. Chapter 913. 913 Si Ming Li, Si Qian, the hired thug, and all the mercenaries at the scene didn't expect that someone would actually barge in. Even Yi Wanwan was dumbstruck. As she listened to how those two men in black shirts were greeting the little boy respectfully as their young master, she was even more surprised. What are all of you standing there for? Seize them! Si Mingli yelled. Damn it, how was it possible for them to barge in? He looked at the intruders for a long time and realized that there were only 2 people. They probably took advantage of a loophole in the guards' defense. Is this how my guards do their jobs, huh? They only know how to enjoy free meals. Tang Long looked at those 2 people treating the little boy with great respect and ordered sternly, members of Noise of Dragons mercenary group, listen up, none of you are allowed to attack. When the mercenaries who were about to attack heard their captain's orders, they immediately stopped what they were doing. Mr. Tang, what do you mean by this? Si Qian said in an unfriendly tone. Tang Long responded casually, nothing much. In order to ensure the safety of our mercenaries, we will try our best to complete the mission, but at the same time, we won't make sacrifices for nothing. Furthermore, this matter is no longer within the scope of our mission. Not within the scope? I'll issue this task right now then. Kill all these people right now and I'll pay twice the agreed price for this mission. Upon hearing what Si Qian said, the mercenaries' eyes lit up instantly, but they didn't dare to respond due to Tang Long's orders. Si Qian continued, triple. The moment he said that, one of the mercenaries, who was wearing a uniform that was a darker color than the rest, stepped forward. I'll accept this mission. The other mercenaries were stunned. Vice Captain, Captain said we're not allowed to attack. Tang Long's face darkened. Guidi, you're not allowed to take it. The Vice Captain of the Noise of Dragons sneered and looked towards Tang Long on the video call. Captain Tang, you're no doubt the Captain of Noise of Dragons, but I am the Vice Captain and as the Vice Captain, I have the authority to choose my own missions. You have no power to interfere. Tang Long narrowed his eyes. If you insist on taking this mission, you'll be responsible for the consequences. Guidi said scornfully, consequences? What kind of consequences would there be for dealing with a kid and 2 servants? Captain, are you trying to interfere with my freedom? Tang Long smiled faintly and suddenly recovered his elegant and calm expression. That's right. It is indeed your choice to take on any missions. Do as you please then. As the captain, it was his responsibility to remind him and he had already done that. Guidi scoffed then glanced at the hired thug who was sent flying to the wall. What a useless bum. In the corner, the little boy looked coldly at a guy in a black shirt. The man got the hint and nodded slightly, then the lean man placed both arms behind his back and slowly made his way towards Guidi slowly. Would you like to kill yourself, or do you want me to do it? Do you know who you're talking to? I think you're the one who's courting death. Guidi became enraged instantly and drew a long, shiny sword somewhere from his body. Upon seeing this, Si Mingli and Si Qian chuckled. This vice captain of the Noise of Dragons was very skilled and was second only to Tang Long. Yuanwan's heart was almost at her throat. These mercenaries were top-notch experts. They were even better Tang Bin and the others, and as the vice captain, Guidi had abilities that were obviously much scarier. She always thought her own skills were already great, but faced with these people, she realized how weak and small she was. Chapter 9:14, Vice Captain Gua, quick, finish them. Si Ming Li's confidant sneered. Hee, don't worry. They're just a couple of nobodies, Guidi mocked. Swish. Guidi charged forward towards the lean man in a flash with his sword held horizontally like he wanted to slice the lean man in half. However, just as Guidi's sword touched his target, the lean man moved to the left and dodged Guidi's attack within a split second. Son of a bitch, you're pretty lucky, huh? Guidi sneered. He exerted all the strength he had and the sword sliced the air, breaking the silence. The lean man was expressionless and there was a tinge of boredom in his eyes. Right at that moment, the lean man finally raised one of his hands that was behind his back. Clang! The sound of gold chains interlocking echoed throughout the place. At this moment, everyone present stood rooted to the ground, especially the long-haired man and bearded man. Their eyes constricted and they both had a look of disbelief. Even Yi Wanwan couldn't help exhibiting a subtle change in her expression. Everyone witnessed how that lean man actually only used 2 fingers to block the sword Guidi was trying to slice him with. Guidi was in disbelief as he looked at the lean man, who looked completely indifferent. Guidi looked like he had just seen a ghost. This lean man actually used his fingers to block the sword he had used all his strength to slash him with. According to the norm, shouldn't the lean man's fingers have been instantly sliced off by his sword? Impossible! Guodi bellowed and went all out, trying to retract his sword from the lean man's fingers. However, the lean man's fingers were like a huge mountain. He kept holding onto the sword. Even when Guodi used all his strength, the sword remained wedged between his fingers without budging at all. Swish! In the next second, nobody saw what the lean man did exactly, but he seemed to have turned his wrist and the sword was seized by him. Before Guodi could return to his senses, the lean man already had the sword in his hands and simply ran it across both of Guodi's arms. After that, the lean man didn't even turn his head as he strode over to the little boy's side. Itch! Accompanied by a blood-curdling screech, both of Guodi's arms were sliced off just like that. This bloody scene left everyone at the scene dumbfounded. Guodi rolled on the floor in pain. This is impossible. Impossible. Even with his skills, both his arms were simply chopped off by this person within 3 moves. Guodi rolled on the ground and looked at the cold-blooded lean man. Suddenly, a sense of fear he had never felt before crept up. Who exactly are you? Si Ming-Li and Si Qian on the video call also had the same question as Guodi. Just what is going on here? Si Ming-Li was stunned. Even someone like Guodi was tortured like that by this person. What kind of terrifying power did the little boy's backer have? It might be possible that he was even more powerful than Mr. Eric. This thought made him extremely anxious. Si Qian forced himself to maintain his composure. That's impossible. There are only 2 families with the surname Nye in Imperial City. One of them is in the Eastern City and they are in the real estate business, while the other is... Tang Long glanced at the 2 of them plainly. He revealed a look of pity like he was looking at 2 ignorant ants and said softly, "This child's Nif family is the one and only Nye clan on a standalone island in Northern Europe." Chapter 915. 915. The moment Tang Long said that, Guodi, who was lying in a pool of blood and wailing in pain, was completely stunned to the point where he almost forgot his pain. He looked at the little boy's face like he had seen something extremely horrifying. Nye family, the Nye clan on the standalone island. Then this child is... Tang Long chuckled. "Vice Captain Guo, what do you think?" Guodi was in a daze. He mumbled in an almost imperceptible voice. The little crown prince of the Nye family. It wasn't only Guodi, even those mercenaries standing by the side were so scared that their faces turned pale. There was dead silence in the air. At that moment, Guodi, who was still rolling on the floor a moment ago, suddenly stood up swiftly and charged at the lean man. To be precise, he charged towards the sword in his hands. In the next second, Guodi placed his neck against the lean man's sword and moved along the length of the sword. He fell to the floor and there was no breath in him anymore. Seeing that Guodi was so terrified that he killed himself with the sword, the other mercenaries didn't even dare to breathe. Everyone was glad they listened to their captain's orders and didn't attack. Si Ming-Li and Si Qian looked at the screen, then they looked at each other in disbelief and didn't say a word. Northern Europe, standalone island. These 6 words were like an atomic bomb that caused both of them to be scared out of their wits. Initially, they didn't even know what standalone island meant, much less the Nye clan. They only found out about the standalone island through Mr. Eric. According to Mr. Eric, a long time ago, during the Middle Ages, there was a highly accomplished martial artist in China who arrived at a faraway island in Northern Europe. The martial artist settled down on that small island and brought over the mysterious ancient Chinese martial arts culture which attracted many martial arts experts from all over the world. After more than 100 years of development and changes, the faraway little island gradually became prosperous and strong. It came under the control of a few formidable family clans. However, following the invention of firearms, weapons, and ammunition, the age of cold weapons slowly withdrew from the limelight and the martial arts culture declined. In order to protect themselves, the standalone island went under the radar and concealed their strength as they gradually vanished from the public eye. But even though their numbers had greatly reduced, the standalone island was still extremely strong and they controlled the economies of various parts of the world, such as the Mercenary Guild, Martial Arts Union, and other important powers. Whether it was the world's top mercenary or someone from the so-called capable and influential aristocratic families, they might be worth nothing at all when dropped on that standalone island. Any hidden family or ancient aristocratic family on the standalone island was extremely powerful compared to anyone from the outside world. The standalone island was currently controlled by 4 family clans, namely the Nye, Ji, Ling, and Shen family. The Nye family was the leader of the 4 great family clans. It was evident how scary the Nye clan was, and right now, they had actually kidnapped the little crown prince of that Nye family. The person who tried to kidnap the little crown prince before had his entire family clan exterminated in the end. Looking at Si Ming Li and Si Qian's pale faces, Tang Long revealed a look of sympathy and said, "Considering that this was the first time we worked together, I'll give the 2 of you a word of advice. Leave China as soon as possible." Tiske, an ignorant person is truly fearless. Those 2 people had been working behind the scenes from the beginning and hadn't revealed their faces at all, but if the Nye clan wanted to look for them, it would be a piece of cake. Chapter 9:16 Si Ming Li and Si Qian didn't hesitate at all and immediately ended the video call. "Run. We have to run quickly. Otherwise, we'll be dead meat." The 2 of them just couldn't figure out how things ended up this way. They were merely trying to capture Yi Wanwan, but in the end, they actually captured the little crown prince of the standalone island Nye clan as well. That's the Nye clan's little crown prince. How did we even manage to capture him? They had countless questions swarming around their heads, but they didn't have the time or energy to think anymore and couldn't care less about Yi Wanwan. They had to get out of China and seek shelter with Mr. Eric. Si Ming Li's hired thugs scattered instantly and Tang Long personally went down to the dungeon. Tang Long walked over to the little boy. He placed both arms across his chest and bowed. "Young Master Nye, sorry for scaring you during your travels. I hope you forgive my men for their ignorance. The Noise of Dragon's mercenary group can't thank you enough." With the young Master Nye's status, how could he be so easily captured by them? Then there was only one possibility. He had a motive behind allowing them to capture him. If that was the case, there might still be a chance that these people could be spared. He should be thankful that the Noise of Dragon's mercenary group had strict training and wouldn't make things difficult for women and children, and these mercenaries hadn't harmed the little crown prince. Otherwise, he really wouldn't dare to imagine what the consequences might have been. The little boy turned to Yi Wanwan, who was in the cell, and his face was covered in frost. His mother had seen too much blood today. Since they hadn't harmed his mother, "You guys may leave." Upon hearing that, Tang Long heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly signaled to his teammates with his eyes. The few of them, who were scared stiff, quickly retreated with Tang Long. Before they left, Tang Long looked in Yi Wanwan's direction and revealed a thoughtful expression. The young master of the Nye family suddenly came to China and even appeared close to this woman's house out of the blue. It seems like this is something worth pondering over. After everyone left, there was only Yi Wanwan, Tang Bin, and Song Chong left in the dungeon. Yi Wanwan was deep in thought about what those people said regarding the standalone island of the Nye family. The little boy immediately ordered, "Go over." It only took a glance from the little master and the man immediately understood what he wanted. He strode over to Tang Bin and Song Chong. Tang Bin and Song Chong didn't know the standalone island existed, so they obviously didn't know about the Nye clan at all. They were only concerned about which power would allow such a scary expert to be a child's bodyguard. Just now, only one of the bodyguards took action and the other didn't even have to do anything at all. Damn. This is insane. Even the captain of the Noise of Dragon's mercenary group was so respectful towards him. Exactly. Who exactly is this little boy, huh? The 2 of them were exclaiming in shock when they suddenly saw one of the bodyguards walking over to them. Tang Bin and Song Chong were scared out of their wits. "Don't, big bro, we're not the bad guys. Right, we were captured as well." Seeing the horrifying, beast-like man coming towards them, the 2 of them were terrified. Clang! Their locks were cut with a knife. The lean man simply cut the ropes and chains around their 4 limbs. Tang Bin and Song Chong froze. After that, they heaved a sigh of relief. So he was helping us. This really scared us to death. The two of them were about to thank that person when he turned around and walked towards Yi Wanwan. Chapter 917. 917. After moving his knife around swiftly and breaking Yi Wanwan free, those two beastly bodyguards suddenly went down on one knee and were extremely respectful. Second Missy, we were late and caused you to be frightened. Yi Wanwan, Tang Bin, Song Chong. Second Missy? Tang Bin and Song Chong looked at those two scary human weapons, down on their knees in front of Yi Wanwan, and were completely stunned. What? These two beasts were actually Master's men? Shit. Then how terrifying is Master's true strength, huh? Just a while ago, they thought their backer had collapsed, but right now, a strong backer was rising quickly from the ground. This was too exciting. Yi Wanwan looked at the two men on their knees before her, then she glanced at Tang Bin and Song Chong, whose eyeballs were nearly coming out of their sockets. She was completely stupefied. What the hell? Second Missy? Are they referring to me? At this moment, after Tang Bin and Song Chong returned to their senses, they went over excitedly and started speaking one after another. Tang Bin was starry-eyed and filled with adoration. Master, we thought you were really captured. You were already so well prepared. Yi Wanwan, no, the truth is that I was really captured. Before Yi Wanwan could finish, Song Chong interrupted, I knew it. Master, you're actually so amazing. We had a really shallow understanding of you. The two of us brothers will pledge our lives to follow you, Master. Yi Wanwan, I think these two people actually got the wrong person. Tang Bin chimed in. He was so moved that he nearly cried. Master, you're a fairy from the highest of the heavens. It's our blessing that you accepted us to be under your leadership. Song Chong. Master, you didn't make a move at all this time to teach us a lesson, right? We'll work harder in future. Master, please don't give up on us. Yi Wanwan, could the two of you calm down a little and listen to what I have to say? Also, could you guys stop imagining things? Yi Wanwan looked at the two bodyguards and was confused. She was sure she didn't know them. What's going on with these people? They even called me Second Missy? She was indeed the second in the Yi family. Yi Mu Fan was the first. But it wasn't normal for these two people to address her as Second Missy in such a formal way, right? Tang Bin wasn't sure if he was imagining things or not, but while they were speaking to Master, he felt the temperature in the air decreasing slightly. Tang Bin instinctively turned to the little boy next to him. Oh right, Master, what's your relationship with this little boy? At this moment, Yi Wanwan's head was a mess. She was vexed, so she simply replied, You're asking me? Who should I ask then? How am I supposed to know? I really have no idea who he is. Yi Wanwan had a headache as she pinched her brows. When she said that, the little boy with his perfect little porcelain face suddenly stepped forward and made his way towards her. Yi Wanwan choked a little and probed, Little friend, hello. May I ask who you are? The little boy lifted his little head and looked at her with his clear eyes. He spoke in a child's voice and said, Hello, my surname is Nye and my name is Tang Xiao. I am 5 this year, and from a biological point of view. Nye. Tang Xiao paused before he continued, You and I have a mother and son relationship. After which, the little fella extended his little arm. Mommy, nice to meet you. Please take care of me. Yi Wanwan, Mini Theater, Yiwon. Today must be April Fool's Day. How could I possibly have a son? Author Jiong, that's right, it's April Fool's Day today. But the sun is real. Oh. Chapter 918. Mo Mother? Yi Wanwan felt as if 9 lightning strikes were coming at her at once. At the same time, all the dots on her head started to connect. This child said his surname was Nye, and Yi Wanwan thought he looked very familiar when she first saw him. Now, he suddenly told her that he was her son. And I definitely don't have a son. So, this might be nameless Nye's nephew. Everything was a mess lately, and although she had her suspicions, she hadn't thought about it too much. She only saw that child over a video call and didn't really see his face clearly. Also, this child's clothes were very different from the child in the video call that day. He was dressed in all black before. So, she only felt he was vaguely familiar and really didn't recognize him at all. The most important thing was, why hadn't that nameless Nye guy mentioned this beforehand so she could prepare herself? In the end, she didn't suspect that this child was nameless Nye's nephew at all. At the moment, Yi Wanwan was staring blankly at the little fella in front of her and was about to lose her mind. That idiot nameless Nye. How could he not have informed me at all? I wasn't prepared for this. Who's going to tell me anything? What am I going to do now? This is unbelievable. I should simply just quit and not do anything. The little boy still had his little arm extended at this point, and he was looking at her with his little head. Seeing the little fella's empty little hand, Yi Wanwan came to her senses and her heart softened. She extended her arm and shook the little guy's tiny hands gently. Hello. The little guy stared at his tiny hand held by Yi Wanwan and pursed his lips. He looked even cuter than before. The two bodyguards behind him looked at each other at the same time. Young master actually allowed someone to touch him. Tang Bin and Song Chong had just calmed themselves down from the excitement and had to go through another round of excitement. They were completely dumbfounded now. But this little boy is actually the master's son. Master actually has a son this age already? And it seems like master didn't even recognize her own son? She's truly worthy of being the master. She's awesome. I wonder how many peach blossoms that she has, huh? After saying just, hello, Yi Wanwan was stuck and she racked her brain for something to say for a long time but couldn't come up with anything. Yi Wanwan, Nye Tang Xiao, right? Can I call you Tang Tang? The little fella nodded. Okay. Yi Wanwan had a headache as she took a deep breath. She hadn't colluded and planned with nameless Nye beforehand, so she could only improvise right now. So, Yi Wanwan said, so you're Tang Tang, really sorry about that. Mommy didn't recognize you just now. I talked to your uncle before and wanted to visit you, but I've been too busy lately so my visit was delayed. Little boy, that's okay, Mommy is busy. I can visit Mommy myself. Yi Wanwan's heart inexplicably melted after she heard that. What an obedient child. Why did nameless Nye keep talking badly about him and called him a little devil? Yi Wanwan immediately gritted her teeth when she thought of nameless Nye. Where's your uncle then? Didn't he come along with you? That bastard nameless Nye. Where did he go? I can't handle this on my own. The little fella replied, Uncle dropped me off and left. Yi Wanwan nodded. Oh, I see. Chapter 919. 919. Alas, Yi Wanwan brought the little fella back to the little house of Rose and was completely stupefied throughout the journey. Yi Wanwan only had one thought in her mind the entire time: how am I going to take care of this child? She had no experience at all. When they arrived at the entrance, Yi Wanwan's eyes lit up instantly as she looked at the two bodyguards. Oh right, these two people were there and they had obviously been by Nye Tangzhao's side all along. They were probably familiar with his diet, habits, and lifestyle. Then, the both of you. Before Yi Wanwan could speak, Nye Tangzhao turned to the two bodyguards and said in a childlike voice, the two of you may leave. Mommy will take care of me. They didn't hesitate at all when they heard his orders. Yes. The two of them then left in a flash and completely disappeared. Yi Wanwan extended her arm. Hey, don't go. They actually left just like that. Are you for real? How could you guys just leave such a young child alone here with me? I have no idea how to take care of a child. Yi Wanwan stared at the little milk bun before her and nearly broke down in tears. Finally, Yi Wanwan felt resigned to her fate. Yi Wanwan turned to the two men behind her. Tang Bin, Song Chong, go look for Xiao Xiao and the others. Since Tang Long already promised he wouldn't harm them, they should be fine. Yes. The two of them immediately went to look for the others and in the end, they found the three people in the attic. The three people were fine, they were just tied up and left in the attic. After they found them, Tang Bin and Song Chong hurriedly cut them loose. How did you guys come back? What about Master? Is she in danger? How could Master be in any danger? Even if anyone was in danger, it would be the other party. The three of them obviously thought their master's hidden power got them out of there and saved them. Indeed, but we really underperformed this time and didn't do our best to protect our master. We must apologize and beg for forgiveness from Master. Old Jiang said. The others agreed as well. So, the few of them swiftly went downstairs. Just as they were about to beg for forgiveness, they saw from afar that their master actually had a little child by her side. Master merely went out for a while. How did she bring a child back? The fatty was stunned. Old Jiang was suspicious too. Tang Bin, Song Chong, what's going on? How did you guys come back? Kawaii. So adorable. Whose baby is that? Where did he come from? Jiao Jiao's attention was glued to the little boy. Tang Bin and Song Chong looked at one another and said, Ours. This little boy is Master's son. What? Master's son? Jiao Jiao was so shocked that she covered her mouth. Damn. The fatty gasped loudly. How's that possible? What's with the surprise? We heard it ourselves. The fatty stared at the little boy. He looked slightly amazed and said, not to mention that he really looks a little like Master. This little face of his looks exactly like our master, right? Tang Bin agreed. Yes, even you guys think so? Changji and I thought they looked alike too. Song Chong rubbed his chin and said, young Master does look like Master, but his temperament and character are quite different, right? Weird, the fatty rolled his eyes. You're making such a big deal out of it. What's so weird about it? His character might not be like Master's, so he must be like his daddy. Tang Bin and Song Chong nodded. That makes sense. Chapter 920, 920 Yuan was too occupied with the little boy that she didn't have the time to worry about those 5 people and merely overheard them saying that this child looked like her. Yuan only noticed it now. It was quite imperceptible to her at first, but now that they mentioned it, he did look a little like her, huh? However, Nameless Nya already told her that she looked similar to his sister, so it made sense for this child to look a little like her. Yuan gave the 5 of them looks of warning and ordered them to get to work. The 5 of them, who were gossiping in full swing, then scattered like birds. Master definitely didn't have the time to worry about them. In just a moment, the living room was left with only Yuan and Nye Tang Xiao alone. Yuan dragged a huge pile of snacks out and even prepared a glass of orange juice for the little fella. Then she sat on the sofa in the living room with him. Nye Tang Xiao sat upright in preparation. Kagwan, please wait a moment. After the updates, you need to refresh the page to get the latest updates. Chapter 921, 921 Late at night. Si Ming Li's family fled the country. Just Si Han's side alone was enough to beat them black and blue, not to mention the Nye clan. Thankfully, they were careful enough and had always been making moves behind the scenes without showing their faces at all. Otherwise, they would have nowhere to hide. Damn it, that woman's lucky. Si Ming Li was upset. Father, what's most important is retaining our power. As long as we have Mr. Eric, we can make a comeback sooner or later. Si Yiqian persuaded. Let's go. Si Ming Li gritted his teeth and finally got onto the helicopter reluctantly. Seeing Imperial City beneath them getting farther and farther away, he had a darkness in his eyes. Si Han and that little bitch? I'll be back again. Country M. There was complete silence in the spacious presidential suite. Si Han sat on the sofa with a gloominess between his brows. A youth in a black suit stood in front of the man with a solemn look and reported, Madam is back in the little garden house. Before our men arrived, she had already left. There was another group of power who appeared and helped her, but we haven't gotten information about where this power came from yet. We'll make sure to find out soon. Although the 5 people in the little house of Rose were experts, as a safety precaution, Si Han had still sent his man over secretly. His men didn't show up earlier because Si Han wanted to find out who the mastermind was. Otherwise, it would be like cutting the grass without pulling the weeds out. There would be no end of trouble in the future. However, he didn't expect that before his men could make a move, another power appeared out of nowhere. Si Han wrapped his fingers against the icy cold glass coffee table, an indication of his uneasiness. Although he had already made sure she was very safe, he still had a bad feeling in his heart. After Yi Wanwan brought the little fella back, she encountered another troublesome issue. Where's Tang Tang going to stay? Si Han would return very soon, and if Tang Tang lived with her, it would definitely be inconvenient. What if Si Han saw him? However, she couldn't just let such a young child live somewhere else by himself. After all, he came all the way there to see his mother. Tang Tang, take a seat first. Mommy will go settle some stuff. I'll be back real soon, Yi Wanwan said gently. Nye Tang Xiao, okay. Yi Wanwan took her phone out and walked out to the courtyard. Behind her, Nye Tang Xiao looked at the back figure of the girl rushing out, and his eyes dropped. After Yi Wanwan was in the courtyard, she immediately tapped open a WeChat group with the 5 people and typed furiously, "Famous Yi, name. Come out right now." There was silence in the group chat. Not a single person replied. Yi Wanwan didn't have any other choice. She could only grit her teeth and send a red pocket. In the end, nobody accepted the red packet at all this time. Yi Wanwan scoffed and sent a $100 red packet. Still, not a single person accepted it. Strictly speaking, nobody dared to accept it. At this moment, under a certain bridge in Imperial City, there were 5 people squatting there secretly. After viewing the messages in the WeChat group, Nameless Nye's hands shivered. He looked at his men and said, "All of you return to Famous Yi." Spray of Flowers, who almost tapped open the red pocket, restrained his hands which were almost going out of control, and he shook his head with terror. "What? I'm not going. Stinking devotee, you go. Quick, Captain is calling you. Your captain's most trusted confidant." Chapter 922. 922. The devotee glared at him. "I'm not going. Why should I? Why should I be the one who returns? Bloody lady boy, why don't you go back? Aren't you loyal and devoted towards Captain? How could you watch him die and not try to save him at all?" Spray of Flowers choked and said, "What is it? Don't they have a saying in China, husband and wife are like birds in one grove, but they each fly away at the end of their lives?" The devotee gave off a look of disdain. "Captain, do you see his true colors now?" Nameless Nye glared at the 2 of them, then turned to the brick-moving foreigner. "Little sweetie, go back to Famous Yi." The brick-moving foreigner said sternly. "Captain, I'd like to help you, but my Mandarin isn't great. Captain, would you like to eat shit? I'll go buy it for you." Little sweetie disappeared without a trace after that. Right after that, there was a click, and the iceberg man had locked himself into the coffin. Nameless Nye nearly spewed out blood from anger. "Fuck your father. 1, 2, 3, 4 of you, all of you are useless." The only reliable Feng Xian Yi was still in long-term offline mode. Why is it so hard to be a captain? Nameless Nye's head was aching when the WeChat notifications started ringing once again. "Famous Yi, Nameless Nye. What's wrong with you? I'm an unwed lady, yet I'm helping you pretend to be a little child's mother out of my own goodwill. Could you at least help me coordinate the matter properly, huh? Famous Yi, in the end, your nephew showed up and you didn't even tell me at all. You even left him alone here and ran away, leaving me to stare blankly at a son who suddenly popped out. I wasn't prepared at all. Famous Yi, what if my boyfriend sees this and thinks I had this boy with a wild man outside, huh? Famous Yi, the main point isn't this. The main point is that I'm a fraud and this dear uncle of his actually went missing. You've got to be kidding me." Yi Wanwan was obviously exploding in fury and typing away crazily. Nameless Nye and the others were trembling. None of them dared to reply. "Famous Yi, I'll count to 3, and if you're not going to come out, you will have the bare responsibility for the consequences. Famous Yi, 3. Famous Yi, 2. Famous Yi, 1. Spray of Flowers and the devotee were squatting in the corner, trying their best to reduce their presence. Really envious of that dead man. The coffin is so useful. Nameless Nye took a deep breath. He didn't have any other choice, and as the captain, as the uncle of the little devil, he had to be the one who solved this issue. Yi Wanwan stared at her phone screen. Once she was done with the countdown, a message appeared in the WeChat group. Your friend Nameless Nye has left the WeChat group. Yi Wanwan, spray of flowers and the devotee who were curled up in the corner. Shit. Captain, that's too brazen, isn't it? You're just going to throw us into the wolves' den like that? Your friend Spray of Flowers has left the WeChat group. Your friend Devotee has left the WeChat group. Your friend Little Sweetie Eisenjoro has left the WeChat group. 3 notifications appeared one after another, and finally, the group was left with only a certain terminal stage lazy cancer sufferer who couldn't even be bothered to run for his life. Bastard! You totally forced me to do this. You're heartless. So don't blame me for being unkind. Yi Wanwan gritted her teeth. She was fuming as she strode into the living room. I'm done being his mother. Yi Wanwan went back into the living room in a huff and marched towards Nye Tang Xiao. Tang Tang, there's something I need to tell you. Yi Wanwan had been gone for a very long time. The little fella had remained on the sofa waiting for her, and when he heard her coming back inside, he turned his head immediately and extended his tiny arm to rub his tired eyes. He replied in a childlike tone, Mommy, the words Yi Wanwan wanted to say were all stuck in her throat instantly. Chapter 9:23. Yi Wanwan looked at the little boy on the sofa who looked like a small dumpling as he sleepily rubbed his eyes and called her Mommy. All her anger dissipated instantly. She was moed to the point where her heart was a mess. Nye Tang Xie asked, Is it important? The words lingering on Yi Wanwan's lips immediately changed. Mommy wanted to say, a growing child must never go to bed late. This is really important. Mommy will take you upstairs to sleep. Nye Tang Xiao, N. Thus, Yi Wanwan, who wanted to chase him away, inexplicably took the little boy upstairs to sleep. Since she wasn't prepared for a guest at all, she could only set Nye Tang Xiao down in the guest room. After all, they had just met, so she was afraid that if she suddenly got too close, the child might not be used to it. It would be better to give him some time to adjust. Why was she already thinking about allowing him to adjust? Hadn't she just decided to throw in the towel and quit already? Yi Wanwan had just covered the little guy in a blanket when a notification popped up on her phone. It seemed like someone had sent her a WeChat message. Yi Wanwan tapped on her phone and she saw that in the group chat containing only her and Iceberg Man, there were a few messages. Your friend Dead Man has received your red packet. Your friend Dead Man has received your red packet. Your friend Dead Man has left the group. Yi Wanwan, fuck. How could there be such a shameless person on earth? He actually collected all the red packets before leaving the group. She sent 2 red packets with 2 different amounts, and that guy actually accepted both without leaving a single cent. Yi Wanwan gripped her phone so tightly that it squeaked. Her rage had instantly reached 100. Bloody hell. If I take this lying down, my last name isn't Yi. In the next second, Yi Wanwan's eyes landed on the little fella lying in bed with a blanket over him and his tiny hand on the bed frame. Immediately, the sinister look on her face turned into a fine drizzle. She was afraid she would scare the little fella. Cough cough, Teng, go to bed. Good night. Good night, Mommy. Yi Wanwan tucked him and then turned off the lights. Just as she was about to leave, the little fella behind her suddenly called out to her. Mommy! Yi Wanwan stopped in her tracks. Tangting, what's the matter? In the dark, she could hear the little fella's young and immature yet slightly cold and distant voice. Will Mommy abandon me again? Upon hearing this, Yi Wanwan's heart thumped hard and she felt uncontrollably guilty. Could it be that he discovered something? Yi Wanwan, no, I won't. If I was your mother, I would never abandon you again for sure. Nye Tang Xiao's appearance had really messed up many of Yi Wanwan's plans. Since a certain someone was so unreliable, she had to go online and research how to take care of a child. Then she instructed Jiao Jiao and Fatty to prepare some necessities. While she was researching, Yi Wanwan thought of something and researched a little on the Nye clan due to all the unexpected recent events. She also searched Nameless Nye's name as well as Nye Tang Xiao's. As expected, the information she gathered was all useless. She already guessed that nameless Nye and the others didn't have a simple background, and after being rescued by Nye Tangzhao's 2 bodyguards, it further confirmed her suspicions. She only met these people by chance, so she didn't think much of it at first and didn't want to get too close to them. Even regarding this little boy, after nameless Nye found his biological mother, they would have no relations with one another anymore. For some inexplicable reason, after she met Tang Tang, she started to feel strangely bothered by it. Chapter 9:24 Yi Wanwan was so busy that she only managed to get to bed at midnight. She was woken up the next morning by a call from Yi Mu Fan. "Hello? Go." Yi Wanwan answered the call in a daze. Yi Mu Fan hurriedly said, "I've got good news and bad news. Which would you like to hear first?" Yi Wanwan, "Whichever, Yi Mu Fan. The good news is that I talked to Su Lin according to what you taught me. We won't change his plot and will retain the entire original script from beginning till end. Also, we'll let him come to our company and meet with Gong Su and Luo Qin personally." Gong Su and Luo Qin put in a lot of effort in their preparations lately and performed well. Su Lin has agreed to let us shoot his work. That's good. Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief. Because she knew the script was Su Lin's blood, sweat, and tears, and he had very high expectations for it, she held a script meeting with Luo Qin and Gong Su beforehand to study the script. After they understood the script inside out, they had a discussion with Su Lin, which was why Su Lin agreed to work with them. Su Lin hadn't performed well in this industry largely due to his character. He was overly idealistic and a perfectionist. To him, art was everything. While he worked at Emperor Sky, not only was he unable to take full ownership of his scripts, but they always made edits and nothing remained the same. Retaining ownership of his scripts wasn't the biggest deal to him. The latter was the last straw which made him leave Emperor Sky. He took his final work and wanted to shoot a film that was truly his. Unfortunately, in Yi Wanwan's previous life, before he could accomplish his dream, Emperor Sky completely destroyed it. Not only was his career destroyed, but even the company that worked with him also suffered great financial losses. In the end, Emperor Sky simply got rid of the portion about sacrificing for the country that was unpopular with the public from Su Lin's work, A Life and Death Struggle, and changed it into a romance series, The Age of Love. Although the show was a great hit in the end, not only was Su Lin's own work seized, but the soul of his work had even been taken away. Su Lin was in so much pain that he didn't want to live anymore. "What's the bad news then?" Yi Wanwan asked. Yi Mu Fan's tone was heavy. "The bad news is that not long after we signed a contract with Su Lin, that bastard from Emperor Sky suddenly went to see Su Lin and said Su Lin had stolen the work of his teacher, Tanjin Exin. He wants to pursue the matter further and make him legally liable. I know Emperor Sky's dirty tricks too well. That guy, Tanjin Exin, wasn't able to come up with anything long ago. His only value was that he managed to obtain a title as the gold medal scriptwriter during his early years. Su Lin might be known as his apprentice, but in reality, he was his ghostwriter. Tanjin Exin hasn't squeezed enough benefits out of Su Lin, so he wouldn't let him go just like that. Su Lin wanted to leave to make it on his own, but obviously, Tanjin Exin wouldn't let him off, and Emperor Sky also really wanted to keep the title of a gold medal screenwriter. Even though they knew whose script it really was, they pretended not to know and made false accusations that Su Lin had stolen Tanjin Exin's work. "Alright, I got it." Yi Wanwan still sounded calm. "Great, everything is going as planned." "But you're still so calm? Do you know that since we signed the contract with Su Lin, our company has also been dragged into it? Furthermore, Yi Shaoan and Yi knew I started this company with a friend. There's a great chance they wouldn't let go of this opportunity to mess with me. Emperor Sky would definitely sue our company too." Yi Mu Fan panicked. Who knew that she had actually jumped into a pit herself? Tang Tang was really obedient. "Yi Wanwan, this is the truth. Why would I lie to you anyway? Even if I had a son with my boyfriend, he would be the most adorable child in the universe. I would be so eager to show him off to the world. Why would I hide it? Yi Mu Fan, if you have something to say, let's talk about it honestly." Please don't stuff me with dog food just because we have a disagreement. Thank you very much. Chapter 926. 926. Meanwhile, at the Yi family old residence. In the courtyard, Liang Meixian was having her morning tea as she placed the teacup in her hand down, agitated. Yi, are you serious? Su Lin's script was actually sold to Yi Mu Fan? Were you mistaken? Don't worry, Mom. I already got someone to verify it. There's no mistake about it. Liang Meixian's eyes lit up instantly. Then we can make use of this incident to mess with that guy, right? Yi sipped her tea elegantly and replied, Su Lin stole the work of our company's gold medal screenwriter, and Age of the Immortals Media actually bought the stolen work, so obviously, they won't get away with it. From what I know, Yi Mu Fan already started filming and a large sum of money was invested into it. If they lose the lawsuit, they won't be able to film and all the money that was spent would be for naught. Liang Meixian was in a good mood after hearing that. A few days ago, your grandpa and grandma actually praised Yi Mu Fan in front of me. They said he's capable and is starting to make progress. Ichenji, that bastard. He merely started a small company. What's there to be happy about? Great, if your grandpa and grandma find out Yi Mu Fan stole Emperor Sky's script to film, how do you think they'll feel? Yi's eyes glistened. Grandpa and grandma would never trust him again. Liang Meixian sneered. That chap still gave a flowery speech and purposefully twisted the truth. He actually managed to get your grandparents to believe him, and your father had to find someone else to take the blame. Yi, you must make good use of this opportunity. Let's see how that guy is going to get out of this. Yi confidently said, I already got someone to take care of everything, and we have the evidence too. We'll win this lawsuit for sure. Mom, I already said this before, we just had to wait patiently for an opportunity, and with Yi Mu Fan's character, he'll just cause his own death. Liang Meixian said loftily, You're right. My daughter is the smartest. Those two siblings are so dumb. Add them together and they couldn't even compare to you. We don't have to worry about them at all. Little Garden House. After Yi Wanwan words killed Yi Mu Fan within seconds, Yi Mu Fan didn't have anything to say anymore. Yi Wanwan rushed downstairs hurriedly and saw Tang Tang sitting by the dining table, eating his breakfast. The little guy was sitting on a stool and eating his breakfast mechanically. Last night, Yi Wanwan was up all night worrying she wouldn't be able to take good care of the child. After searching on the internet, she saw how many parents complained about their children's problems and how difficult it was to take care of them. She realized she had many things to pay attention to when taking care of a child and how challenging it was to raise a child. Reading all this caused insomnia for Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan was already prepared for the worst and all kinds of unexpected situations. However, she hadn't expected that on her first morning of taking care of the little boy, there wouldn't be any fuss at all. The little guy woke up himself, put on his own clothes, washed up and sat at the dining table by himself. He wasn't picky about his food either and ate everything that was prepared for him. This child was so well behaved that one's heart could melt. Yi Wanwan walked over with mixed feelings in her heart and said gently, Teng, is the food okay for you? The little fella placed his chopsticks down and waited till he was done chewing his food before he answered, Okay. 4-3, Zioxio. Chapter 927. Yi Wanwan. If you aren't adjusting to this place, you must tell mommy, alright? Nye Tang Xiao, okay. After that, Yi Wanwan didn't know what else to say or do. I'm not a very competent mother, am I? Oh right, Tang. I'll go get you some fruit. Yi Wanwan hurriedly walked to the kitchen. Master, what do you need? I'll take care of it for you. The fatty exclaimed attentively. Yi Wanwan, no need, just give me an apple. Sure, sure. The fatty immediately picked the nicest apple for Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan picked up the apple and a knife, then returned to the dining table. Teng, mommy will peel the apple for you, Yi Wanwan then slowly peeled the apple into little bunnies based on her memory of what she once saw online. Then she arranged them nicely on a white porcelain plate. The little bunnies were all gathered together and it looked very delightful and cute. Tang, have some fruit. Nye Tang Xiao looked at the bunny-shaped fruit and had a confused look on his face. Mommy, I'm not a 2 or 3-year-old kid. Yi Wanwan. So a 4 or 5-year-old isn't considered a kid? Oh, Tang Tang, you don't like it? Yi Wanwan seemed a little disappointed. Nye Tang Xiao, it's just not necessary. Oh, Yi Wanwan was so dejected that her head nearly drooped. Seeing how disappointed Yi Wanwan was, Nye Tang Xiao's expression turned solemn. Yi Wanwan laid on the table, dispirited. Mommy suddenly feels really useless? I can't do anything for you. The little fella's face turned even more solemn, like he was facing a difficult problem he couldn't solve. After some time, the little fella pursed his lips, then extended his tiny arm. He placed it on Yi Wanwan's head and rubbed it gently. Mommy did really well. Really? Yi Wanwan's head immediately rose like a sunflower. Nye Tang Xiao picked up a little bunny. And I like it very much. It was like the sky had cleared after a storm. That's great. Eat more then. Fruit is great for your body. Seeing as Yi Wanwan was energetic once again, the little fella subtly heaved a sigh of relief. At a booth in a certain restaurant in Imperial City, Tanjin Exen made his tea leisurely as he spoke in a very sincere tone. Su Lin, I said this before, you would look for me sooner or later. The man on the other side of the table had heavy eye bags and looked very lethargic. I can write you another script, but please return A Life and Death Struggle to me. Tanjin Exen chuckled. If you said this earlier, it wouldn't be an issue, but right now, I don't think this is how you should negotiate with me. Su Lin's fingers balled into fists. He gritted his teeth and said, I can do it at no cost and I don't need you to give me credit for it either. Please just return A Life and Death Struggle to me. I already signed a contract with another company for this show and I can't let them suffer losses because of me. Tanjin Exen shook his head with a pitiful look. Su Lin, you're still so naive. You still don't get it, do you? A Life and Death Struggle belongs to me and every work of yours in future will be mine, and you have no right to negotiate with me at all. Tanjin Exen looked fearless. If Su Lin doesn't want to lose his reputation, he has to slave away for me. Chapter 9, 28 Age of the Immortals. Everyone's faces were solemn. As a senior, Tanjin Exen's actions were really unacceptable. Luo Chun looked extremely angry. Guilt shrouded Su Lin's face. It's my fault. I dragged everyone into this. Yimu Fan patted his shoulder. Suji, don't blame yourself for it. If we need someone to blame, it would be that rascal's fault. How could it be yours? Oh right, I told you to secretly record the conversation. Did you do that? Su Lin shook his head. Tanjin Exen was very cautious. He made the reservation and even got his assistant to search my body before entering the booth. I didn't get a chance to do anything at all. Yimu Fan sighed. He hadn't placed too much hope on this idea. That sly old fox had been in the industry for so long that he would definitely be on his guard about such a low-level idea. What should we do now? Are we able to do anything to him at all? Gong Su was frustrated. Han Xianyu analyzed the situation. We have to prepare for the worst right now, which is losing the lawsuit and being fined for infringement. Then we'll have to stop all our shooting plans, all the investments we invested in will be gone, and most importantly, it'll damage the company's reputation. Su Lin hurriedly said, regarding the reputation of the company, I can make a public declaration that this had nothing to do with the company and all of you were merely buying my script. Han Xianyu looked helpless. The issue isn't that simple. Emperor Sky would definitely sway the public's opinion and implicate the company as well. If Age of the Immortals couldn't produce any evidence, they would be in a defensive position. What did Yi Ji say? Luo Chen asked. Yimu Fan waved his arms. I already called him, but I didn't really understand what he said. We'll just wait for him to come back and we can ask him again. At that moment, a pair of footsteps came from the door. It was Yi Wanwan. The few of them hurriedly greeted her. Yi, Chairman Yi, you're here. The moment they saw Yi Wanwan, the atmosphere in the conference room became much more relaxed. As long as Yi Bai was around, it was like any problem could be resolved. Upon seeing Yi Wanwan, Yimu Fan flung his hands up. I already told you about the issue, so what are your plans? Yi Wanwan swept her gaze across everyone present and replied, I am aware of the situation, so I decided that the filming of A Life and Death Struggle will be moved forward to tomorrow. Su Lin was surprised when he heard that. What? Start filming tomorrow? But according to the present situation, shouldn't we try to reduce our losses as much as possible? Why would we rush to start filming? We can't do that, it won't work. It'll also cause the company to be in an even more precarious position with public opinion. What surprised him even more was that no one else showed any objections to Yi Bai's decision, even though it was clearly a mistake. Yi Wanwan placated him and said, Teacher Su, when you came over to us, I promised you that no matter what happened, the company would resolve it. You just need to do one thing, film at ease. Su Lin was confused as he turned to the others. So all of you are okay with starting to film as well? He really couldn't keep dragging them into this. They looked at one another. Then Luo Chen said, I'll listen to. Han Xianyu hung up the call he was on and said, I already got Yangji to make the arrangements. Gong Su was all smiles. I'll just leave the thinking to. I'm only in charge of looking good. Chapter 929. 929. After Yi Wanwan made her decision, Gong Su, Luo Chen and the others went to prepare for the press conference the next day. What do I need to do? Yi Mufan asked. Follow me and we'll hold a press conference tonight. After speaking, Yi Wanwan passed him a file. What's this? Yi Mufan took it suspiciously and took out its contents. When he realized what the documents were, Yi Mufan's eyes lit up. Damn, these where did you get all these pieces of evidence? As if we have to be afraid when we have these, we can just counter-sue Emperor Sky and Tanjin Exin instead for infringement. I'll prepare the venue right away and invite all the reporters. We'll hold the press conference. Hold on. Yi Wanwan stopped him. What is it? We just established our company and with such a tight budget, don't we need money for the venue, inviting the reporters and all the publicity? Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Then what should we do? We definitely can't save this money. Yi Mufan was lost. Yi Wanwan laughed. What's the rush? Emperor Sky will secure an amazing venue and invite the media. They'll have a grand press conference for us. What did you say? Emperor Sky will do it for us? How's that possible? Have they lost their minds? Yi Mufan was baffled. Yi Mufan was about to continue asking when his phone rang. It was a call from Yi. Yi Mufan furrowed his brows. Why is Yi calling me at this hour? The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips curved upwards. Answer it. Yi Mufan answered the call with an indifferent expression. What's the matter? Mufan, today is Emperor Sky's 20th anniversary. You and Wanwan should come over and join us at the 20th anniversary celebration tonight. Yi's courteous and well-mannered voice came through the receiver. Yi Mufan knitted his brows. Yi's being so nice in inviting us over for Emperor Sky's anniversary celebration? It can't be a banquet set up with the aim of murdering a guest, right? Afraid Yi Mufan would refuse her invitation, Yi continued, I already told Grandpa and Grandma and they already agreed, so you don't have to worry about it at all. When Yi Mufan heard that, he was about to reject her when he suddenly recalled what Yi Wanwan said just now and was stunned for a while. Could this be the grand press conference Yi Wanwan was referring to, the one someone was willing to spend money to prepare for us? Yi Mufan's eyes lit up and he responded immediately, Got it, I'll be there on time. Over on the other end, Yi concealed the mocking tone in her voice and said gently, Great, I'll get someone to send you guys the invitation later. Mufan, I hope you don't mind but the new guards at the gate may not recognize you and Wanwan, so it's more convenient for you to come with an invitation. Don't worry about it, I understand. Of course, I understand. I'm already very glad that Grandpa and Grandma were willing to let me attend the celebration. After Yi Mufan ended the call, he hurriedly asked, So Wanwan, you're planning to make Emperor Sky's 20th anniversary celebration into our press conference. This is big, not just grand. The preparations for Emperor Sky's 20th anniversary celebration had started 3 months ago and all sorts of publicity had been done. In order to steal worldwide entertainment's limelight and show that Emperor Sky was more dominant, Emperor Sky rented the most expensive international convention and exhibition center in Imperial City. Various well-known media and reporters would be present. From the publicity to the venue, the cost of this celebration was exorbitant. Chapter 930, 930. On that very night at the International Convention and Exhibition Center, stars were shining at the venue. The mega stars who always had a myriad of fans surrounding them were all trying to find a chance to be around Yi at that moment. Yi Shaoan was the current chairman of the Yi Group, and Yi was his one and only beloved daughter. As the future successor of Emperor Sky Entertainment and even the entire Yi Group, she was naturally the target everyone wanted to curry favor with. Tan Yilan, who was entertaining guests at this moment, excused herself and walked over to Yi. "Did you tell Mu Fan?" Yi smiled sweetly. "Grandma, I already told him and Mu Fan said he'll be coming." "And good." Tan Yilan nodded. Lately, she noticed that Mu Fan had indeed been making progress. Not only was he becoming more outstanding in the design industry, but he also started his own company and the artists he signed were pretty good, so she started to view him differently. Even Yi Hongwei had relented and suggested inviting the siblings, Mu Fan and Wanwan, over for the company's 20th anniversary celebration. This decision of Yi Hongwei's was no small matter. This meant he was starting to reconsider Yi Mu Fan as his successor. How could Yi and Liang Meixian not know what the two elders were thinking? The two elders' attitudes were too obvious. Just as they were talking, Yi Wanwan and Yi Mu Fan handed over their invitations and entered the venue. "Grandma!" Once he saw Tan Yilan, Yi Mu Fan hurriedly called out to her warmly and exclaimed, "Grandma, you're simply too beautiful tonight. When I saw you from afar, I thought you were an angel who fell from heaven." Tan Yilan was bursting with joy. This child only knows how to talk nonsense. Yi Wanwan immediately raised her hand and chimed in innocently, "Gui is telling the truth, I can testify to that." Tan Yilan looked at them and pretended to be annoyed. "Did the two of you smear honey over your mouths, huh?" Mellifluous music started playing at the venue and the first dance segment began. Yi Mu Fan bowed like a gentleman and extended his hand. "The most beautiful lady tonight, Miss Tan Yilan, may I have the pleasure of dancing with you?" Tan Yilan readily agreed and the two of them slowly made their way towards the dance floor. Thunderous applause resounded in the place, then there were whispers everywhere. "Aya, isn't that the great young master of the Yi family, Yi Mu Fan? He actually came back? Didn't they say he was incapable and was chased out of the family? I heard he's been pretty good lately and the chairman already allowed him to attend an occasion like this. But I'm afraid that, seems like this Yi family is about to have their previous regime restored." Liang Meixian gritted her teeth in anger as she listened to the gossip around her. The old master and madam are obviously biased towards this precious grandson of theirs. Yi said indifferently, "Yi Mu Fan is always showing off with his clever talk. It's not like you don't know that, Mom." Liang Meixian scoffed coldly, "Itchy, he only has that glib tongue and is as dumb as a pig. He actually gave us the bargaining chip himself." In the past, Yi Mu Fan was just a nobody at home, but only a few people in the industry knew about it. But things are different now. Liang Meixian wanted to see whether the old master and madam would still give him another chance when he embarrassed them tonight in front of all the guests and media. "Yi Mu Fan, your last hour is coming and you still have no idea at all. We shall see how long you can remain so pleased." With that thought, Liang Meixian was in a better mood. Remember to give out more red pockets to the media so they'll entertain our great young master Yi tonight." "Mom, I know what to do. Everything is in order." Chapter 931, 931. Soon, the first dance ended. Everyone present was from the entertainment industry and they all knew exactly how to weigh people's words and make observations. Very soon, a beautiful woman walked towards Yi Mu Fan. "Mr. Yi, would you like to dance?" Yi Mu Fan took a glance at her and his eyes lit up instantly. The artists present were all A-listers and higher in Emperor Sky, such as this woman before him. She was a newly promoted A-lister blossoming flower, She went the sexy route and was the goddess of many men. Tiske, this chick isn't bad. Even with my fussiness and high standards, she could score an 8. Yi Mu Fan replied without hesitation, of course. When Yi Wanwan noticed the situation, she took a sip of her drink and gave Yi Mu Fan side-eye. Yi Mu Fan felt a chill go down his spine. The words that had already reached his lips immediately turned back. Cough, of course it'd be an honor, but I'm really sorry. I've been busy these few days and I'm not in good shape. I'm afraid I might offend Miss Een. Ever since Shen Mengqi's scandal was revealed, Yi Wanwan was mostly worried he would revert back to his old ways as a flirtatious wastrel. So he was given an order and wasn't allowed to indulge in drinking and sensual pleasures. Most importantly, he wasn't allowed to have relations with any female artists. The Age of Immortals didn't have any female artists, so he was quite well behaved, but if he was in Emperor Sky, wouldn't that be like having a wolf in a pack of sheep? Therefore, Yi Wanwan had to keep a close eye on him. I see, maybe we'll have a chance next time. The beauty obviously knew Yi Mu Fan was turning her down tactfully and had no choice but to leave. At the same time, there was a hint of doubt in her eyes. There were still a number of people who went up to him like the beautiful woman to strike up a conversation, but they were all rejected by Yi Mu Fan as he stayed by Tan Yilan's side throughout. That night, Yi Mu Fan had many eyes on him and they were surprised with what happened. Did Yi Mu Fan the playboy undergo a sex change? Tan Yilan was observing her grandson the whole time and seeing as he wasn't even playful or flirting around that night, she was obviously very pleased and she said gently, "It's normal for young people to socialize. You don't have to stay by my side all the time." Yi Mu Fan replied obediently, "I can socialize anytime, but I don't get to spend a lot of time with grandma usually." Tan Yilan's heart softened when she heard that. "Oh didn't I tell you before? You can always come home anytime when you're free, or did someone make you mad again?" Thinking back on that incident at the old residence, Tan Yilan's gaze turned colder as she looked at Liang Meixian. She said, "Mu Fan, this is also your house. Grandpa and Grandma aren't dead yet. Nobody would dare to deny you from coming home." When Liang Meixian heard that, she was fuming mad, but she could only echo along, "Mom is right. Mu Fan, you and Wanwan shouldn't only care about working, the two of you should come home more often to visit, darn it. Indeed, it's all because we're blood-related, right? Furthermore, Yi Mu Fan is the son of the first wife and their only grandson. As expected, he's not so easy to get rid of. This can't be happening. I fought so hard to get the Yi family in my hands. How could I simply allow Liang Meixian's family to snatch it away?" Liang Meixian winked at Yi discreetly. Yi said softly, "Grandma, the reporters are ready. Shall we begin now?" Tan Yilan nodded. "Sure, let's begin." Soon, the anniversary celebration started and the invited media made their way in. The superstars walked on the red carpet one after another and entered the venue. The place was dazzling. The common belief that the Yi family occupied and controlled half of the entertainment industry wasn't an exaggeration at all. Chapter 932. 932 On stage, after the enthusiastic host was done with his opening speech, he handed the stage over to the chairman, Yi Hongwei. After Yi Hongwei, the president of Yi Group and Emperor Sky Entertainment, Yi Shaoan, went up on stage. Standing next to him was the elegant director of talent recruitment, Yi. In the audience, a few elders from Emperor Sky couldn't help but exclaim, Life is truly full of ups and downs. 3 years ago, the person standing there was Yi Xiaoting, but in just the blink of an eye, all the newcomers in the company don't even have a clue who Yi Xiaoting is, they only know of Yi Shaoan and Big Missy, Yi. Exactly, the chairman doesn't allow Yi Xiaoting through the Yi family's door or company. He didn't even allow him to attend such an important occasion, and only his son, Yi Mu Fan, was allowed. But judging by the chairman and madam's attitudes toward Yi Mu Fan, it's quite hard to say who'll get their inheritance. You're too naive. How could that idiot compete with the father and daughter duo? The best outcome from this is simply allowing him to return home and giving him a bit of money. He wants to be involved in the company? That's just a pipe dream. That's true. It was very clear that nobody in Emperor Sky Entertainment had any regard for Yi Mu Fan, but since they noticed the two elders changed their attitudes towards him, they exchanged conventional greetings to give the chairman some face. The entire anniversary celebration had a cheerful and warm atmosphere. When it was approaching the end, a media interview segment came up. Various well-known media outlets clustered around Yi Hongwei, Yi Shaoan, and Yi in an orderly manner as they posed questions. Aside from a couple higher-ups, there was also director Liao Xianfeng, gold medal screenwriter Tanjin Xian, and a male and female lead. Yi stood before a dozen microphones and said to the various media, "I'll take this chance to share a piece of good news with all of you. Tanjin Xian's latest work, The Age of Love, will begin filming. I hope everyone will lend us your support." When the media heard that, they all stepped forward to congratulate her. Many people will be eager to watch it. Teacher Tan is setting the bar higher and higher. His ideas are new and original, and every story is moving. I wonder where Teacher Tan got his inspiration for this show, The Age of Love, and what sort of surprise he's going to bring us? I just finished this script 3 months ago. In order to complete this work, Tanjin Xian already knew what the reporters would ask, so he started talking about his writing process and the challenges he faced. His motive was very clear. He wanted to leave a lasting first impression on the media so they'd believe he was the original owner of this work. As expected, the reporters were filled with admiration and showered him with compliments after they heard this. Tanjin Xian didn't forget to bootlick. He glanced at Yi and said, "Everyone's too kind. It's all thanks to Miss Yi's recognition of my worth that allowed me to display my talents." Tanjin Xian was mid-speech when his phone started ringing all of a sudden. Tanjin Xian tapped his phone, displeased, then his face changed immediately before the media. He yelled angrily, "This is ridiculous." Seeing Tanjin Xian in a fury, the reporters looked at each other with confusion. Teacher Tan, what happened?" Tanjin Xian looked like he lost his senses. He walked in Yi Mu-fan's direction and held up his phone up to Yi Mu-fan's face. "Great young Master Yi. Please give me a reasonable explanation." Chapter 933. What's going on? What happened? All the reporters were confused. At that moment, Yi Wanwan sneezed and was sitting on a high chair nearby. She rested her chin on her hand and was swirling a glass of strawberry juice in boredom. Tonight, the Age of the Immortals press conference would start. If this was before, she would have been somewhat worried about Yi Mu-fan and stayed by his side. But now, she just had to watch him perform silently. Yi Mu-fan took a glance at Tanjin Xian's phone. It was a post on Age of the Immortals Weibo announcing that they would be shooting a life and death struggle. Faced with Tanjin Xian's aggressive interrogation, Yi Mu-fan raised his brows and said indifferently, "Explain? I wonder what Teacher Tan wants me to explain?" Liang Meixian and Yi looked at one another and revealed mocking scowls. Does he really think everything will be fine if he pretends not to know anything? They had already dug all the traps, so he had no choice but to fall into them. Tanjin Xian looked at all the media outlets present, then shouted, "Everybody, tonight is Emperor Sky's 20th anniversary and the announcement of The Age of Love." At first, I didn't want anything to ruin the atmosphere, but some people here are such big bullies and are simply too shameless. He then looked at Yi Mu-fan with frustration. "Young Master Yi, I contacted your company 2 days ago and told Su Lin that the script for Life and Death Struggle was stolen from The Age of Love. I hoped the company would provide an explanation. I thought young Master Yi would definitely deal with this fairly. Who knew that not only did you not stop Su Lin, but you quickly announced the start of filming even when you knew this work was stolen by Su Lin." Tanjin Xian's words immediately caused an uproar and all the cameras were pointed in Yi Mu-fan's direction. Damn, what did Tanjin Xian just say? Yi Mu-fan stole the script, and even when the other party came knocking on his door, he didn't deal with it and allowed filming to begin? I just read the post on the Age of the Immortals Weibo. Teacher Tan was right. They did announce they would begin shooting tomorrow. This is really quite ridiculous, huh? It's probably because his grandpa is the chairman that he's fearless, right? No wonder Chairman Yi actually chased him out of the family before. This is absurd. Does he know how to manage things at all? Wouldn't the company go bust if it landed in his hands? Watching this chaos, Yi Hongwei's face darkened. Mu Fan, what exactly is going on? Was what he said true? Yi Mu Fan was silent for a moment. It seemed like a painful topic to him. Grandpa, what Teacher Tan said was true. Upon hearing what Yi Mu Fan said, everyone looked at him with even more disdain. Liang Mei Xian and Yi looked like they expected this to happen. There was no way he could deny this incident. Yi Mu Fan continued, however, there's a misunderstanding on this matter. Grandpa, when we go back, I'll explain things more clearly. Is that all right? After all, it's a joyous occasion today for Emperor Sky and I don't want this incident to ruin the mood. Yi Mu Fan wanted to settle this matter privately, but obviously, someone didn't want to let him off. Tan Jin Exen said sternly, misunderstanding? Since you said it was a misunderstanding, why don't you make yourself clear right now? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.